Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by Ray Ora.
Hey, happy Friday.
Jonathan Voico.
Hello, hello.
Chris Carr's here.
Hey, guys.
And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. And here's how the show goes. We're going to start off by talking about a few topics. And then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, question, observation that you'd like us to address, go ahead and fire it on into our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. And as long as we deem it appropriate to be addressed on the show, we'll read it off in the second part of the show. Also, the good news about the tip link is that it's good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, which means if you're listening to this show on our audio podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts, or if you're watching this video a little bit later on in the day when we're not live, you can still use the tip link, send on in your question, and we'll just get around to addressing it on the next episode. All right. And by the way, I already see a few people in our live chat asking why one of the topics isn't I almost said bad robot, isn't a wild robot review. Because after I was going to go, I had tickets to go see it yesterday at 2:30, but after we did the show yesterday, I wasn't feeling good. I said, you know what? I better just make sure I'm good. And I just stayed home. So I didn't see Wild Robot yet. Hopefully I'll get around to seeing that this weekend. But that's why we're not talking about that. I did watch a football game last night, though. What a snoozer. Anyway, let's get on with our topics here today, guys. And we're going to start off with this. In sad news to wake up to, Maggie Smith of Harry Potter and Downton Abbey fame has passed away at the age of 89. And, you know, it's so funny because when I read that, I had some instant thoughts about it. First of all, what a lot of people might not realize, because most people will know her, most of today's audiences will know her from Harry Potter and Downton Abbey. But the reality is, she is a 6-time Academy Award nominee, a 2-time Academy Award winner, a 9-time Primetime Emmy nominee, and a 4-time Emmy winner. Hell, she's even got a Tony. She was 1 Grammy away from being an EGOT. And she had a legendary career before she ever did Harry Potter. And for a lot of today's audience, that's where they first met her. You know what? I heard somebody else say this, and it's absolutely true. She's going to go down in history probably as one of the very few Hollywood people. Because, Jonathan, you just saw The Substance. About,
yeah, I saw The Substance.
Demi Moore, you know, as an aging Hollywood person, because, you know, in Hollywood, as people get older, they fear they're losing their relevance and all that kind of stuff. Very topical. Mm-hmm. But Maggie Smith is going to go down in history as one of those performers who actually hit her peak after 70.
Well, I think people forget, too, when she was in Hook playing 92-year-old Wendy, she was 56. Like, Hollywood has wanted her to be old forever.
Well, listen, I remember, like, watching the first Harry Potter movie, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Mm-hmm. Apologies to people in the UK who still refer to it as the Philosopher's Stone. But, like, it was, Professor McGonagall was like this old lady. That movie came out 23 years ago. Right? And she actually hit the pinnacle of her stardom. It wasn't her Academy Awards or anything like that. She hit the pinnacle of her stardom much later in her career, which was amazing. And she had one of these screen presences. Listen, Downton Abbey is not my kind of show. That's not a show that is targeted at somebody like me. But damn it, my wife got me watching it. And the main reason I watched it was because of Maggie Smith. And she just was able to carry this, what Bonneville, her co-star in Downton Abbey, called sharp eye and sharper wit. And she just carried that. Like, I feel like if she decided to get into hip hop, not Eminem, not Kendrick Lamar, nobody would get into a diss battle with her because she would bury you. Well, like she would bury you. You stand no chance.
He gets her Grammy there.
Yeah, there's her Grammy. There's her EGOT. I feel like she could have slaughtered anybody with a smirk. So again, it's, you know, when somebody passes away either in the late 80s and their 90s, it's more of a sense of celebration that I think about, like, what a career. What a body of work for multiple generations that she has left us. And apparently, her sons put out the statement that she died quietly and she was an extremely private person and all that kind of stuff. But again, just an absolute legend. Maggie Smith, Oscar winner, Tony winner, Emmy winner. Someone who just got bigger and bigger in her career. She got older, passes away at the age of 89. Chris, she was a performer who literally had standouts in multiple eras.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody thinks about the era of this person. She was across multiple eras. When you think of Maggie Smith, what's the first thing that comes to your head?
The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie.
Really?
Is a brilliant, brilliant film where Jean Brodie is a horrible, horrible character, and she humanizes her in such a beautiful way. It's some of her early work. She was Desdemona in Laurence Olivier's Othello. She was incredible. And then I love her in all of those greatest Marigold Hotel movies too. I love when she just gets to be a fun, kooky old lady. I love her. And then Hook is another standout for me, but that's also just because I love Hook. She is phenomenal as Professor McGonagall. She's so wonderful.
Well, she's one of the very first characters that we meet in that entire series that, like, between her and Hagrid, like these characters, these otherworldly mystical characters, like, show up so early in the movie and they really set the tone for the entire series.
Oh, 1,000%, because they buy into their own reality.
Yes.
Right? It's great acting is like a great D&D campaign. If you do not believe the people playing, if you don't think they're fully immersed and they feel a little cringy, then you don't want to play either. You don't buy into it, right? And she was always so great about being fully immersed in whatever world she was in. And whether that was Downton Abbey, whether that was Harry Potter, whether that was diving into Shakespearean works, she was always so fully committed. And what a wonderful, wonderful performer. And such a funny lady in real life, too. All of her little quips with Dame Judi Dench are just, chef's kiss.
Yeah, she was, and a lot of people forget a lot of her career was spent on the stage. Like I've always said this, that's what separates someone who's a good actor from somebody who's the real deal, is people who can do it on stage. And she was a career stage performer as well. And again, we have lost Maggie Smith at the age of 89, and what a legendary body of work she leaves behind for us. Question is for you guys. When you think of Maggie Smith, what's the first thing that comes to your head? For a lot of people, their first exposure might have been Hook. It might have been Downton Abbey. It might have been Harry Potter. Then there are going to be viewers who watched a lot of her award-winning stuff prior to that. Whatever you guys think about, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? We've talked ad nauseum about the fact that Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power Season 1 was such an utter disappointment. And again, all due respect to people who watched Rings of Power Season 1 and enjoyed it. If you did, that's awesome. I'm not trying to talk you out of it. I'm just saying, as somebody who was extremely excited for that show, I walked away from it very disappointed, to the point that I didn't even care when the second season was going to come. I didn't even watch the debut episode on its opening day because I was always going to watch season 2 because it's Lord of the Rings, but I didn't really care all that much. That's how much season 1 disappointed me. And we've been talking for a number of weeks now about what the hell happened. All of a sudden, Rings of Power is a really good show. And, in the early episodes, I was saying, okay, I'm not ready to declare it a good show yet or a great show yet, but it is definitely an improvement over season 1. Let's see if it actually holds up. Well, yesterday I sat down to watch the second last episode of the season, episode 7. I can't remember what the actual name of the episode was. I just called The Siege of Eregion. What's that?
Was it The Eye?
No, I don't think so.
Oh.
But I just called The Siege episode.
Doomed to Die.
Doomed to Die. That was the official name of the episode, yes.
The Doomed to Die or Doomed to Die.
I watched
Yeah, that's
this
true.
episode, and when it was done, I'm like, I can't put it off any longer. I can't believe I'm saying this. This show's great. What the hell happened to season 1? Because, this show, just talking about season 2, this has legitimately been great television. This is what season 1 should have been. And so we've said this on the show yesterday too. I don't know if I can ever think of another television show that had as fast and as drastic of a turnaround as Rings of Power. Like, literally from one season that is like, I could care less if I ever watch this again, to, oh my God, this is now must-watch television for me.
Yeah.
And this episode was like the fulfillment of the promise of what grand epic. You know, when we think about how they said, Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power is going to have a $460 million budget and all this kind of stuff. Last night's episode was the kind of thing we started thinking about they better have. And and it wasn't just spectacle. This show actually makes their emotion work. My heart broke as Elrond is on his knees and says, Durin will come. Durin, he repeats it, Durin will come, like he just couldn't wrap. He could not accept that his friend is not going to be there for him. My heart broke. And of course I fell for Durin because they put Durin in an impossible situation. I love the dialogue of the dwarf who comes to him and says, hey, you may go out and save your friends, but there may not be a Khazad Dûm when you come back. There may not be a mountain for you to come back to. Your own people are going to die. And the way they set that up, I mean, this whole season's been great. I've loved every character. I've even liked the Harfoot storylines going on.
I've tolerated it because there's not so much of it.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Out of all the storylines going, they're my least favorite of all of them. But I'm actually enjoying it when their stuff's being told. I'm really liking the story. I love the Tom Bombadil stuff.
Yes.
The Adar stuff is great. I mean, that one thing, when Adar, they're having like the funeral for some of the orcs. They're getting ready to burn them on the pyre. And like Adar is legit weeping over his orcs. He's crying over them.
Yeah, he's not just a mustache twirling villain.
No, like he's far more than that. Like he's somebody who truly not just believes in what he's doing, he's passionate about what he's doing. And he doesn't care what he's got to do to protect his children, right? Like the everything going on in Numenor, I'm loving. I'm actually wanting them to get back to Numenor. I want to see what happens when the dude finds out his son is still alive.
Because it's getting, you know why? Because it's feeling a little bit of Game of Thrones-y now with Numenor. Whereas before I was like, oh God, more people I'm just annoyed with.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, oh, this is some good intrigue. I'm not saying it's Game of Thrones level. I'm just saying it's got that feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I love the Ent stuff. I love now the lone elf on his quest for vengeance. I mean, look, I was hesitant to do it before, and the first couple episodes dropped, and the third and the fourth episode, but I can't put it off anymore. I'm gonna call it. This show's great, and I'm flabbergasted. Now and you know what? Here's the thing, Chris. I enjoy it so much now. It makes me more angry about season 1.
Really?
Like it's like, you clearly had the pieces. You clearly look what you did with season 2. It almost makes season 1 more inexcusable to me.
I mean,
so I don't know.
listen,
What are you thinking so far?
You gotta take people's constructive criticism.
And they did.
Right?
They did.
We look at Sonic. Remember ugly Sonic? And then we got regular Sonic?
Yeah,
The Sonic of the people, that's what we're having with Rings of Power, okay? We got rid of those janky teeth, and now we're having a better time. And a lot of it is pacing. A lot of it is really working with the story that they want to tell here, because so much of season 1 really is just, well, we got to get some of this out of the way to get to this kind of stuff. Like the Eregion stuff is so much more interesting than anything that happened in season 1. Another thing is, I say this with all the love in my heart, it's not a faithful adaptation of Tolkien, and that's
it can't
fine.
It can't be.
If that's what you want, go read the books. Go sit down next to a cozy fire and read the Silmarillion and have a great time.
I mean, like I told John yesterday, you can't do that because from the Silmarillion when the Rings of Power were forged, and Sauron was discovered, and then he fled. It was 200 years before he came back.
It's a historical text mixed with the Bible. If you want to
You
read
can't
that,
in the show have 200 years pass and then have him come back.
It's got to have a different thing. And if you really want something super, super accurate, read the books. Read the books. Go do that. What they're doing here with the battles, what they're doing with character, what they are doing with just the overall story here is so interesting. Charles Edwards, who is playing Celebrimbor, is brilliant.
He breaks my heart every time.
He is so good. And I remember when he was first cast too, there was some shade thrown around about him being too old to play this elf, particularly because, again, canonically he is younger than Galadriel.
Sure.
I don't care how old any of these elves are. I just want them to be doing excellent acting, and he is delivering this episode is so powerful for him and so messed up. And next week, if we revisit them, which I feel like you have to.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be rough. And I am a little worried about this chapter ending, just because I've enjoyed him so much, and I don't think he is going to be with us for very much longer.
Yeah, probably not.
No, probably not. And,
That I think they'll be a bit canonical about.
I will say if we get to the end of the season and the stranger is still wandering around a forest trying to figure out who he is, I'm gonna be a little frustrated.
If Tom Bombadil just doesn't give him some ayahuasca and go, figure it out, buddy.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Because
Well, you know,
that's a
it's-
little
they-
Rings of
wrap
Power
it up.
season 1-ish for me.
They did show a preview for the final episode where you see the stranger talking to the dark wizard, and the dark wizard makes it, I know who you are. And so I think that's going to get revealed,
Which is good. And
I mean, let's look at this point. I'm going to be completely shocked if it's not Gandalf. I mean,
has to be.
clearly it's Gandalf. They even had that line from Tom Bombadil in the previous thing about not all who deserve life live, not all who deserve death die. Who are we? Or the same line
Sure.
he gave in the original films. And
Yeah.
I'm misquoting it, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
But again, this episode, the emotion was great.
Yeah.
The narrative was great. The mythology building was great. The spectacle was amazing. And again, I'm going to be thinking a long, long time about, I already mentioned Elrond on his knees on the battlefield, just saying over and over again, like just Durin will come. Durin will come. I haven't had something in TV break my heart like that in a while. It was beautifully done.
I listened to the episode again on the drive up here.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was like, I'm just going to have this playing while I drive.
Like an audio
And-
drama?
Yeah. And
Yeah. I will say it speaks to, on the business side, it speaks to Amazon's agility when you compare it to Disney, because they had to get through that Chapek era, and it shows how entrenched they were and how much he changed the structure there, that they had to get through so much content before we could start seeing a change with how it was run, whether it be showrunners or more direct contact with the artists that are involved, like Feige likes to do, or whoever's in charge. At Amazon, they were able to then shift, because they're like, wait,
Sure.
we're doing The Boys, we're doing these other shows that are good, we can make this better. And it shows their agility.
Yeah. Oh, 1,000%.
And again, yeah, just their ability to pivot. And by the way, not as many people ditched on Rings of Power after season 1 as I initially thought. The Nielsen ratings just came out, and Rings of Power is the number 2 overall streaming show for its period, for its debut episode. Now, remember, the Nielsen ratings come out on a delay. So it's talking about the first episode, because whereas the first episode of season 1 came out and got 1.2 billion minutes streamed,
Yeah.
season 2 still debuted with over 1 billion minutes streamed. So there was a bit
That's
of a
great.
drop from season 1, but not nearly as many people ditched on it as I thought would have
Yeah.
ditched on it. And I'm not going to be surprised if the Nielsen ratings come out again in a month and we find that the ratings have started to go up.
Oh, absolutely. There's so many articles that keep coming out of, you need to give Rings of Power another shot, or after episode 7 here, Doomed to Die. There have been so many articles today that just say, even if you don't care about Lord of the Rings at all, you should watch this episode because it's great television.
Yeah.
I've seen, you're right, because I've seen so many headlines that are not just that, but also saying it's time to get over yourself. And like this one headliner, it's time to get over yourself and watch Rings of Power season 2.
Yep.
And like so many headlines now saying, guys, you know what? Just listen, I agree. Season 1 was a disappointment. I agree. But season 2 is so
On
good.
my rewatch, I didn't hate it that much, though.
You
I know you didn't,
wonder-
but I'm not touching it. I rewatched. I had to go back because I realized I didn't watch the last episode. I'm like, oh my God.
Because you know how I said seeing how good season 2 is just make me more mad at season 1. I wonder if I did do a rewatch of season 1, if season 2 would make it feel better.
Well, you know
I
where
don't
it's.
know,
You
but-
would know where it's heading.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you
at
have
least
that.
you'd have that kind
So
of hope.
someone yesterday in the chat said, "Do I have to watch season 1 to get to understand season 2?" And I begrudgingly was just like, "I think you have to." And I'm sorry.
You could
Try-
watch the recap.
Maybe
I
try
think,
some
yes,
recaps.
Watch a YouTube 35-minute recap
Yeah.
of Rings of Power season 1 and you'll be good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you'll be set. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Did you watch the newest episode of Rings of Power? It has put me over the edge. I'm like, I got to say it. This show's great now. The show's great. I don't care what anybody else says. This show is now great. And I'm having a ball with it. What have you guys been thinking about it? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Agatha, all along, we talked about it a little bit the other day. I have been very pleasantly surprised by the show. I mean, I don't think it's as good as Penguin or Rings of Power for that matter, but I've been enjoying it. And then the newest episode came out. I'm like, you know what? I'm still liking it. It's pretty good. Well, when they announced this show and in the months leading up to it, the cacophony of people online saying, nobody cares about this show. How many times did we hear people say that? Even in our own lives, nobody cares. No one's going to watch this. No one asked for it. No one's going to watch it. Blah, blah, blah. Well, so much for that. Because in a new report, this is in Deadline, Agatha All Along brews up solid premiere audience's first episode nets 9.3 million views in its first 7 days. Now, I want to put this into context. Remember, this is a C-level character. Maybe B level, but a third level, because obviously Wanda was the number one character. Vision was the number two character. You can make arguments for others. And then there's, of course, there's Agatha. And it's a spin-off show of a show on Disney Plus and all that kind of stuff. And sure, Penguin got 5-point-something million views in its first 4 days. Probably 6 or 7 after its first week. Now, there are more people have Disney Plus than have HBO. So there's that. But Agatha got comparable numbers, actually a little bit better if I read properly, than the smash hit that was the first viewing of Percy Jackson on Disney Plus. And fell just, I think, like 15% below Loki's numbers. Needless to say, Agatha getting 9.3 million views in its first episode is surprising a lot of people. Especially the people, I don't think that even the people at Disney thought it would be that high. So it's not the highest thing Disney Plus has ever had by any means, but this is way bigger, far bigger than the narratives that a lot of people were trying to spin. And I'll admit, this is bigger than I thought it would be. I always had some belief in this because I really like the character. And again, the showrunner of Agatha is the same person who is the creator of WandaVision. So I had a certain amount of belief going into it. But I also didn't think tons of people would watch it. Apparently, a ton of people are watching it. And I'm going to be really curious to see what the numbers do later on. Because, again, to me, this show has been pretty solid and enjoyable. And I'm going to be curious to see if it's able to hold those numbers. Do the numbers go up? Do they do what The Acolyte did and just crash and burn? I don't know. But anyway, Chris, 9.3 million viewers. For the first episode. Does this surprise you? Does it not surprise you? What's your takeaway from
It's
this?
almost 2 million more than Matlock.
Yes,
Dang.
yes, it is.
Crazy. Whoa. This is great. The third episode of this was so fun. It was so delightful. Oh my gosh, Mrs. Hart. What a treasure. We need to protect her at all costs. Oh no. I thought this was great because, I feel like the episodes do keep getting better and more interesting. We're learning more about the supporting tertiary cast here and everything. It's spooky season. They launched this at the perfect time for a fun, witchy kind of show.
What's the one line that one nightmare guy said to her? Is an inconvenient woman?
You are an inconvenient woman.
You are an inconvenient woman.
Ugh, if I had a nickel.
Anne's on a business trip right now. I'm going to use that on her when she gets home. She hasn't seen Agatha episode 3. I'm just going to see what the reaction is going to be.
Well, we'll be taking over the show from next week onward because
R.I.P. John Campea.
Yeah.
You are an
Well,
inconvenient
she said we can still
woman.
record in the garage. But,
Yeah.
Anyway.
But I do think this is a really interesting, intriguing show. We all want to know about the mystery, want to know about all of these kind of inconveniences for of these witches. We want to know what's happening with Agatha. We want to know the deal with Teen. It's a great show. And the idea, too, of, oh, no one wants to watch this. Oh, no one's interested in this. I always feel like those are such loud but small minorities of groups of people who are just angry on the internet.
Yeah.
And if this show isn't for you, no worries. I'm not going to try to, make you watch this show and convince you need to watch this show. There's so much television. You can go do whatever you want. But I do feel like so far, this is an example of when Disney is firing on all cylinders. Now, if they can keep up this momentum, that'll be great. Hopefully they keep getting more eyes on it. I do still have a little bit of hesitancy to say this is a great show, though.
Yeah, I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
I'm saying it's good.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I'm having a good time. I definitely tune into it. I'm right there when it drops. But
Give her another episode.
Yeah, and we've been burned before with these shows and these low episode counts too.
If you get through 4, you're just about halfway.
Yeah, I just don't want another rushed ending where things get kind of tidied up enough, but it doesn't feel satisfying. I want to really know all these mysteries by the end of this, or at least have enough information that wants me to have a season 2. I don't want to have another one of these kinds of just like endings that Disney seems to give me with a lot of their Marvel shows.
Again, starting strong has never been a Disney Plus show problem. Finishing strong has been their problem.
Yeah.
I will say this, although it was just one episode, I understand, just one episode, but I have a disturbing lack of Aubrey Plaza. I mean, it was only one episode. Maybe she's in every other episode, but I need more Aubrey Plaza. And because I ate up the dynamic between her and Catherine Hahn.
Oh
of
my
course,
gosh.
both Parks and Rec alum. But
who almost never worked together on the show, though.
yeah, they were, I think they
Which
were
is
only in like
great.
2 scenes together on the show or something like that.
They have insane
Oh,
chemistry.
so good. And they need more of it. But again, 9.3 million, it's way bigger than a lot of people thought it was going to be. Now we'll see whether those numbers sustain. Do they go up? Do they crash down? Who knows? We'll find out. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Come on, be honest. You didn't think, even if you were optimistic about the show, you didn't think Agatha all along was going to get this many views. You just didn't, because I didn't. I don't know. Whatever you think about it, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we still got to talk about Ben Stiller's going to produce and appear in a new comedy about Pickleball. And no, it is not a spiritual sequel to Dodgeball. And Marvel's made it official. They are going to campaign Hugh Jackman for Best Supporting Actor at the Oscars. Does he actually have a chance? We're going to talk about those things and a few things more. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second and thank one of the sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Miracle Made. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's episode, Miracle Made. Guys, it's hot outside and your nighttime bedroom temperature has a huge impact on your sleep quality. So if you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Miracle Made sheets are inspired by NASA and use silver-infused fabrics that are temperature regulating so you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. There are just so many things that make these sheets so fantastic. We already mentioned the self-cooling properties for better quality sleep, but they're also self-cleaning. These sheets are infused with silver that prevent up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. No more gross odors. So go to trymiracle.com/Campea. That's TRYMIRACLE.com/Campea to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code Campea at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. So upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/Campea and use the code Campea to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/Campea to treat yourself. Thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this episode. And thank you to our friends at Miracle Made for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, that down. Let's go on to this. Ben Stiller is actually, you know what? When I think about a guy we don't talk about enough, he has actually made some of my favorite comedies. And maybe biggest of them all for me is, or at least that he appeared in everything, Dodgeball. I love him in Dodgeball. Love him so much. Anyway, news has just come out in the Hollywood Reporter that says Ben Stiller to produce, act in a pickleball comedy called The Dink, which will also have Jake Johnson from New Girl, Mary Steenburgen, and Ed Harris are going to be appearing in the film. And no, it is not a Dodgeball sequel. I actually at first just thought it was going to naturally be a Dodgeball sequel. I thought, you know, the guys at, what's it called? Average Joe Gym?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Are now getting into pickleball. But no, that's not the case. It's a
That would've
totally
been
new
fun.
movie. And it says this. After their collaboration on Nutcrackers, Ben Stiller's Red Hour Films and Rivulet Films will re-team for the pickleball comedy, The Dink. Jake Johnson from New Girl, has nabbed the leading role as he plays a washed-up tennis pro who, to save a club in crisis and win his father's respect, who's probably going to be Ed Harris, does the one thing he swore he'd never do, play pickleball. The cast includes Mary Steenburgen and Ed Harris, while Stiller and former tennis champion Andy Roddick will have key supporting roles as well. And it's going to be directed by Josh Greenbaum, who, by the way, recently directed Strays with Will Ferrell, which I thought was, nobody saw it, film totally bombed at the box office. It is freaking wickedly funny. I laughed so hard in Strays. And I believe he's a good Canadian kid. I think Josh Greenbaum is a good Canadian. Oh, by the way, he also directed a whole bunch of episodes of New Girl, which that makes sense with the Jake Johnson connection and everything like that. Look, this has got me. I don't care. Ben Stiller producing and going to be in a pickleball comedy. I don't care. Even if it's nothing like Dodgeball, I'm completely on board with this. I love the supporting cast in it. I love Jake Johnson, actually. I think he's actually really great. I enjoy his work very, very much. I even liked him in The Mummy.
Whoa.
Yeah. I even liked him in The Mummy.
What was that movie? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no.
Where Let's Be Cops?
Let's Be Cops. I didn't. How
did I know that was the one you were thinking?
It's fun and stupid.
I didn't hate it.
I kind of like it.
Yep.
I'm so biased because he is Logan. Logan is him. And so every time I see him in movies, I'm like, oh, my husband. That's nice.
There he is.
I love him. He's great.
Anyway, I'm excited about this just because I love all this stuff. I don't think we've seen Ben Stiller do enough comedy recently.
Well, that's true.
He's been spreading his wings with directing, producing, and doing a lot of very interesting stuff. But I miss him in comedy.
I wish Rip Torn was still with us because I would have loved to have seen him if there was a role. I don't know the tone of this movie, but
listen,
him explaining the 5 principles of pickleball.
One of the greatest lines in any comedy movie ever is still to this day, if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. That's it. That's one of the greatest single lines.
And it's true.
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. Anyway, Chris, obviously, other than the fact that your husband is apparently in this. Yeah. What do you think about the sounds of this? Are you excited about it?
I think it sounds fun and dumb. I like it.
Both,
I'm into that. Pickleball is one of those things that completely eludes me. My parents are very stereotypical, and they retired to Naples, Florida. And pickleball.
How are they doing, by the way?
Oh, they're good, actually. They had a hurricane party last night.
Well, good on them.
They're very, very high up, so they have a whole bunch of people over, and my dad just empties out his scotch collection, basically, and make sure that no one has to wade through water. They have a generator, too, which is very, very helpful.
Oh, that's handy.
Yeah. And then my mom's going to fly out here today, supposedly. Oh. I was like, sure.
The airport's
sure,
open?
Marie. We'll see. We'll find out. But they do not play pickleball, but all their friends are obsessed with it. And my understanding, and I'm so sorry, is that it was just kind of a game that was made up from leftovers of other games, where it was just, we've got a wiffle ball and some badminton
basketball?
paddles. Kind of, yeah. It's a very basketball origin for older
basically
people.
Tennis for people who are not athletic.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong. There are the elite level pickleball players.
But the thing is, now they've gotten there, right?
Yeah.
Now the athletic people have like,
but
well,
that's
we're
the
gonna
top people. You don't have to be an athlete of any kind to play pickleball.
Okay.
My cousin's in a league though. And they're pretty good.
Very serious.
Yeah.
It took over so fast.
Yeah.
You know, there was a news story I remember watching when pickleball was first coming out, and tennis players, they would use the tennis courts. And there'd be arguments and whatever because tennis players wouldn't want.
But you can't play it on test. But
they would use one side of just for the floor.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
And now when you walk by a lot of the tennis courts, even at San Diego, where you walk through the sports where they play the baseball team plays.
At the stadium.
Yeah. They have tennis courts there, but right next there's pickleball courts.
Yeah, that's right. The last time we were there in San Diego, they have pickleball courts right by Petco Stadium. And wasn't it Dwayne Johnson who just recently bought a huge stake in the professional pickleball?
I mean, that's
the fastest growing sport in America.
It'd be a great business move. I mean, he probably.
I'm here at the Santa Monica pickleball court with some Terramana tequila, ready to play some pickleball with some great folks.
And that's it. It's for people who don't have to be athletes. You can go with a case of beer and just have some fun and pretend you're doing something athletic.
It's like me with golf. I don't play the game, but I like the golf cart and I like drinking.
There you go. So pick a ball.
It's kind of me with golf too. I just ride. I'm a
Yeah,
I'm a
I
ride
just want to
along.
be a passenger with a beer. Yeah.
I'm a ride along.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I think this sounds great. Anything that gets Ben Stiller kind of back into comedy, I'm completely there. God, where is my Mystery Men sequel?
Seriously.
Oh, God, please do a Mystery Men sequel. Listen, Hank Azaria is still with us. William H. Macy is still with us. Jeffrey Rush is still with us. Come on, figure something out. Anyway, guys, whatever you think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? The movie Logan became the first comic book movie ever to be nominated for the major award of Best Screenplay at the Academy Awards. But it probably should have gotten at least 2 other nominations. One, Patrick Stewart, I will argue this one more hardly. Patrick Stewart should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actor in a movie.
100%.
For that. I mean, his Patrick Stewart's performance as Charles Xavier in Logan was mind-blowing. It was so perfect and powerful and beautiful. He should have gotten, I'm not going to say he should have won, but he should have gotten a nomination. Not quite as strongly, but I honestly believe Hugh Jackman could have been nominated for an Academy Award for his performance in Logan. He was fantastic. Well, anyway, now, redemption is nigh. Because according to a report in Variety, Deadpool and Wolverine sets Oscar campaigns, including Hugh Jackman, for Best Supporting Actor and more. Now, they go on to say that they're going to be pushing Ryan Reynolds for Best Lead at the Golden Globes for actor in a comedy and stuff like that. And you know what? I think he's got a legitimate chance at that because they ridiculously separate out the categories, drama and musical or comedy. Anyway, what does a musical have to do with comedy? Anyway, so there's that. But the article goes on to specifically mention that they're going to push Hugh Jackman at all the award shows in the Best Supporting Actor category. I admit, when I first heard this, I was a little bit surprised because I thought, really? But then I actually sat down and thought about it. He's so good in this movie. He's so good, and he elevates the movie. And there are several scenes in the movie that almost don't fit in with Deadpool because he brings a heavier dramatic toll. Like, I'm sorry, that one scene when he's in the mindscape and he's in the field and he drops to his knees and Cassandra's there with him, and the way that scene is as dramatic as anything you're going to see in the movies this year. It's wonderful. He's really good. So I think hurrah for Disney and Marvel for saying they're going to campaign for Hugh Jackman, and huzzah to them as well for putting their weight behind it.
Is that a spell or something?
Huzzah! They're going to get in there.
I was literally thinking huzzah in my head, and then he said that, and I almost injected the coffee back into my cup.
Not enough people use huzzah. I'm going to bring it back.
Outside of medieval times, you
Yep.
just don't really hear it that often.
Exactly.
Not often.
bummer.
You know what? One of the best uses ever was, who does the voice of Ratatouille again?
Patton Oswalt.
Yeah.
Patton Oswalt in Parks and Rec when they have to do the
When
living
they're
in the
doing the
cabin
butter.
challenge.
Oh, huzzah!
Huzzah! The day is mine. That will always be the best huzzah ever. Anyway, but that's great. I'm excited for that. I think well deserved that he should be pushed for that. But then we got to get on to the real question. Is there actually a chance that he could nab an Oscar nomination for this? And I don't think there's much of a chance.
Oh.
Could he nab a Best Supporting Actor at a Golden Globes? Maybe, because the Golden Globes are all made up nonsense anyway. So who knows? You know what? At the Golden Globes, they separate Best Actor in a comedy or musical,
Yes.
but they don't do it for the supporting actors, do they?
I don't believe.
I think this another reason why the Golden Globes are fucking
Just the
ridiculous.
Wild West over there.
Anyway, so maybe a Golden Globe, but I don't think so, because here's the thing. When you go over to something like Variety, they're already putting out their early predictions about the Oscar race for Best Supporting Actor.
The Tooch.
And right now,
Oh, hell yeah.
they're projecting that the 5 nominees are going to be Denzel Washington for Gladiator 2, Stanley Tucci for Conclave. I can't wait to see Conclave. There are a lot of people saying that this is going to be Ralph Fiennes might
Well,
actually
this is
win
for
his Oscar
supporting,
finally.
right?
What's that?
Is this for supporting?
This is
It's
for supporting.
supporting.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Kieran Culkin for Real Pain. John Turturro, who is so good. By the way, if you haven't watched Severance, you want to see how good John Turturro
He's
can be.
amazing.
I had
in
So
that.
good in
I had no
Severance.
idea the scope of his role until I watched it. I'm like, my God.
He's so good.
The torts.
And Clarence Macklin for Sing Sing.
Sing Sing.
Okay.
The turds.
But here's the problem. You think, well, okay, yeah, those are the 5 leading, but maybe you can still sneak in there. Well, the problem is they then go, well, here's the next in line to get in. Guy Pearce, Gabriel LaBelle, Edward Norton, Peter Skarsgård, Lamorne Morris. Okay, so he's not on that list either. Okay, well, then they put in other contenders. No Hugh Jackman. Jeremy Strong, Brian Tyree Henry, Josh O'Connor, Jason Schwartzman. By the way, Josh O'Connor, I think, has a better chance than just an outside. Anyway, not on that list either. And even if you go down to another ranks 20 plus, also in contention, Pedro Pascal, Ben Chaplin, Jonathan Lithgow, Tom Hardy. Nope. No Hugh Jackman. You have to go down to the list of
Other actors still alive.
people who are eligible. And under the people who are eligible list, you get down to Hugh Jackman. So
Got ready with that one.
doesn't look good.
That took a little bit.
It doesn't look good. But you know what? Marvel, you campaign for him. Because I'm not saying he deserves the spot. I'm not saying that. But campaign hard. Because remember, it wasn't that many years ago that it was ridiculous to think of a comic book movie getting major award nominations. Yeah, there was the Heath Ledger, but that was kind of an outlier. But in recent years, we've had multiple comic book films nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards. We've had Joaquin Phoenix win the prestigious Best Actor at the Academy Awards. Logan got nominated
Angela
for...
Bassett got nominated.
What's that?
Angela Bassett got nominated.
Angela
for Black
Bassett got a
Panther.
nomination. Black Panther got a lot of nominations. Joker got a lot of nominations. If you keep changing it, I'm not saying you should just automatically push comic book stuff to the front of the line because it's comic book stuff. No, but it's making the genre being taken more seriously. And I think Disney and Marvel pushing Hugh Jackman, even if it's not going to result in anything this year, it's only good for the genre moving forward. Anyway, Chris, what do you think about the idea of Marvel, like seriously, in front headlining on Variety and everything, that they're going to push for Hugh Jackman for Best Supporting Actor? And do you think there's any chance you could get one of those nominations?
Oh no. It is one of those, oh, Marvel, I love that for you. That's great. Good job. I love when we see that genre is not what determines something's quality, because it doesn't.
Right.
I think that's wonderful. But I don't feel like this would be one of the comic book roles that would get you an Oscar nomination, potentially a Golden Globe, potentially something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe even, a SAG award nomination or something like that.
MTV Movie Award.
MTV Movie Award for sure. Kids'
The
Choice
highly
Award.
coveted.
Kids' Choice Award. If he did get the nomination, it would feel very much like when Jimmy Stewart thought that him getting nominated for Philadelphia Story was for his work in Harvey.
well, you know.
Oh, that's pretty good.
That's a pretty good thing. That was not bad.
Let's get more, like right now.
Yeah, do more of this.
No.
Do Dwayne Johnson. Go.
Amazing.
everybody.
Amazing.
Out of
Oh my
everybody,
gosh, it was
Dwayne
incredible. But yeah, I don't think this would be the one to actually garner him an actual nomination.
Yeah.
He's fabulous in this. He's wonderful in this.
Yes, he is.
But he was so good in Logan.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're going to nominate him for one of his Wolverine performances, it's not going to be this one. As great as he is, this just doesn't feel that award level.
Now, listen, I am on record that I do not believe we are ever going to see Hugh Jackman as Wolverine again. I don't know that as fact. I'm just saying, I don't believe we're ever going to see him. I think he's done. But maybe they're pushing him right now for this, knowing he won't get the nomination, to set the stage maybe in 2 years when the Wolverine, the movie, comes out and he's a lead actor in it. It's like, hey guys, remember Hugh Jackman? We pushed him for support. Again, I don't think we're ever going to see him as Wolverine again. I just, the little conspiracy theorist in my head is kind of spouting that out. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I mean, Marvel's going to push him for Best Supporting Actor at the Academy Awards. I think that's great. I don't know that he's got any chance at it, But is there value in it even if he doesn't get one of those nominations? How do you feel about it? Maybe you don't think he was all that good in the movie. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, it's time for us to get on to the most important part of our show, of course, which is taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second and thank another sponsor of our show. Guys, I've been using them for years. I cannot recommend them enough to everybody I know. The good folks over at Acorns. Guys, we want to take a second and thank a sponsor of today's video, Acorns. Guys, everybody knows we should be investing our money. That's why it's an important priority to me. But there are several obstacles to getting started. First of all, a lot of people think you need a lot of money to start investing, or that it's complicated, or you need to do a lot of research. Well, our sponsor, Acorns, makes it simple. You see, Acorns makes it easy to start automatically saving and investing in your future. You don't need a lot of money or expertise to invest with Acorns. In fact, you can get started with just your spare change. Acorns recommends an expert-built portfolio that fits you and your money goals, then automatically invests your money for you. My own experience has been great. See, I actually started using Acorn years ago as kind of a first foot in the door to get started in investing. I set up the automatic deposits, and before you knew it, every couple of weeks I'd check in on it and watching my money grow. It was fantastic. So guys, head to acorns.com/Campea or download the Acorns app to start saving and investing for your future today. Client testimonial. Compensation provides incentive to positively promote Acorns. Investing involves risk. Acorns Advisors, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. View important disclosures at acorns.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Acorns for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys. With that down, let's get on to the important stuff. Your live comments and questions. Jonathan, what we got up first?
Starting off with Sam Fisher. I think I asked this last week, but has anyone seen Roy Wood Jr.'s new comedy news panel show on CNN? Have I got news for you? It's an American remake of a British panel show of the same name. I really like it. I haven't heard of it.
I haven't even heard of it.
No, I haven't even heard of it either. So,
What was the panel show name?
Have I got news for you?
I don't know if I've seen that.
I did like his parts when he's on the Daily Show. Like, right? He's on the Daily Show.
he was on the Daily Show,
Yeah,
I believe,
with
if I'm thinking of the
Trevor
right
Noah.
guy. Yeah. But no, I haven't heard of it yet.
Interesting.
Sorry,
All right, thanks for
got
putting it on the
distracted
radar.
by somebody having their username as Grow Up Christine.
Wow.
I wasn't even here for that.
Wait till you hear my delivery on that one.
All right, what's next?
Logan Vaughn says Disney Plus was $70 a year when it launched in November of 2019. I'm about to pay $175 when it re-ups in November of 24. Granted, that's only $14.50 a month, and I get my ROI with that insane library. But you're not joking about Disney Plus price increases.
Yeah, now look, again, back when Disney Plus was launching, we all said, guys, this is the free hit of heroin. This is not what Disney Plus's price is going to be, because they wouldn't be able to survive at those prices. We knew it would go up. The thing that bothers me, though, is how fast the prices are going up, right? And how frequently they're going up. I honestly feel like every month we're covering a streaming service price increase, Like, do it once a year. And I just feel like it's happening all the time. And it is stunning because now, today, this is what really puts it in context. The cheapo, inexpensive, budget-friendly, ad-supported tier of Disney Plus, where you got to get commercials in with it, is 30% more expensive than the ad-free Disney Plus was when it launched. Think about that, puts it into perspective. The ad-supported, you got to watch commercials version of Disney Plus today is 30% more expensive than the premium ad-free experience of Disney Plus you got when they launched the service. I mean, yeah. And again, I acknowledge $15.99 a month for how much I watch Disney Plus, with all the library, all the Star Wars content, all the Pixar content, all the Marvel content, all that stuff, not to mention the originals and whatever. It's not a bad deal. $15 for all of that? Okay. But it's just the rate of their increases is kind of staggering. And I hope they get that under control. All right. What's next?
Okay, Logan Vaughn says, In honor of Hurricane Helen, what are your favorite hurricane-themed movies? I'll nominate Crawl.
Crawl was fun.
P.S. The rain is crazy here in Chattanooga, nonstop for hours, and we're 400 miles from the coast. Crazy how big hurricanes can be.
Yeah, and by the way, just all of our listeners and film-loving brethren who are in the Florida area, please take care of yourselves and be very, very careful.
So yours isn't necessarily Crawl, but you like Crawl.
I really like Crawl. Crawl was a surprisingly fun, like it's a ridiculous movie that on its surface looks terrible, but that's a movie that was way more fun than it had any business being. It was pretty cool. And I heard they're making a sequel, I think.
Doesn't surprise me.
But at any rate, I don't know if it totally qualifies for your parameters. Perfect Storm.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, I really, really like that movie.
Let's go with
I've
the
got-
Day After Tomorrow.
Day After Tomorrow. That's kind of a hurricane.
I was going to say, was that a hurricane movie, though?
Not
I
really,
mean,
but
it's
Okay.
everything.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
everything though.
mine actually is a hurricane.
I'd say Volcano.
Yeah, exactly. It could be like a hurricane. I'll go with Key Largo,
Oh.
1948. John Huston, Humphrey Bogart, Lauren Bacall was in it, and
I just
Edward
recently went to a stage
Of
production
Key
of that.
Largo?
Yep.
and Edward G. Robinson, who most of our listeners won't know, but you do know because anytime anyone's ever done the 1940s like gangster like
Yeah, see?
yeah, see, you're gonna go over there and put your
That's
hands
him?
up. See, that's Edward G.
Oh,
Robinson.
okay. That makes sense.
All right, what's next?
Or the Hurricane with Denzel.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Oh,
A little different hurricane, but sure. Logan Vaughn is back.
Not as wet. I'm sorry. Hey, be safe in Chattanooga.
Not as wet.
Does anyone have like a shot of alcohol? Or something I can take?
Wet.
Honestly, that's how you usually celebrate or survive a hurricane.
Just drink.
Well, and this is the most Florida thing I can ever say is that in Florida and Texas, we would have hurricane like bar deals.
Yeah.
And so you would get various categories, but they were all the same price. So obviously you'd get a category 5 and then,
There
you
you
just
go.
be drunk for your hurricane.
All right.
All
Sorry.
right, let's
All right.
keep going. What's
Logan
next?
Vaughn is back and says, regarding Rings of Power, the same guy plays both Sauron and Halbrand. His name is Charlie Vickers. Talk about range in a single character. Dude is awesome in his role. But the real question, who is hotter, Sauron or Halbrand? Who would you do, John?
It's 'cause
Going
of
to
the-
you, John.
It's because the idiocy of the question. We'll just move on.
Just
I was thinking for Sauron, but okay. Julia Goodwin says, today is my 25th birthday.
Happy birthday!
The new Looney Tunes film, The Day the Earth Blew Up, is finally getting a U.S. distribution screening. I wish I lived in L.A., but at least HBO is giving this one a chance. Rest in peace, Coyote versus Acme and Bugs Bunny musical movie.
Man, I'm not gonna lie to you. I really do want to see that Coyote versus Acme.
I want to see it so much.
I really do want to see it. I mean, look, I understand. I understand that there are business realities that, hey, listen, if we put this out, it's actually going to lose us money if we do it. Okay, I understand there are business realities with that. I get it, but I really would like to see that movie. And I'm not going to pay for their losses,
No.
but I got to tell you, like the very fact that you even, again, happy birthday, but just the fact that you brought that up now, I'm kind of tunnel vision on that. I really would like to see that movie. I don't think it's ever going to see it. You know what? I don't feel the same way about it as about Batgirl, which that movie is never going to see the light of day.
Yeah.
Because they buried Batgirl because it sucked. They didn't bury Coyote versus Acme because it sucked. They just buried it because
Right.
we just don't see a way that we can, that even our costs for just putting it out will even be recouped.
I just wish I could see Michael Keaton's scenes. That's it.
Oh, you're
Oh,
talking
from
about Batgirl?
Batgirl,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't save the Flash.
No. But still, I enjoyed it.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
All right. Grow up, Christine says, hey, John,
It's like my Grammy's here.
off the top of your head, could you tell us your 10 picks of X actor and X role for the impending live action Batman Beyond film? Just kidding. Love the show. Thanks and bring on the film, please. So there's some long-winded
Perfect.
support.
Thank you. Yeah.
I think Michael Caine playing Pickle McSticky-Doo. What's his name?
How
Um,
dare
yeah.
you? Terry
Rachel
McGinnis.
McGinnis? No. Kyle McGinnis? No.
Terry.
Oh, Terry McGinnis. That's right. Michael Caine is Terry McGinnis.
Sherry O'Terry.
What's the name of that? Keep forgetting his name. You know the actor comedian who's in those sports draft or Sports Kings commercials, like it's parlay time. What's that guy's name again?
I have no
idea. Yeah, put him in there.
For Batman Beyond, we're actually letting you cast Batman?
David Spade. David Spade in there.
There you go.
That's perfect. Oh, Cord Cutter Cam, Eric Andre. Yes, put Eric Andre in there. I love the way he says it.
So we're going for a comedy.
It's parlay time. I love that line. I don't know why. All right, what's next?
Jay says, do you guys think parts of the overarching story for Chapter 1 of James Gunn's DCU will be adapted from any of the big events from the comics, like Crisis on Infinite Earths, Blackest Night, etc.?
I think there'll be many, many elements borrowed from a lot of different things. That's kind of been the way with both DC and Marvel. I mean, these films, they will borrow elements. Like whenever you watch one of these big comic book films, you recognize, oh, that's kind of a thing from this storyline, and so I think it'll probably be that. Chris, you think there's any they will really lean into more?
Not immediately. Eventually, I think we'll probably do some Crisis on Infinite Earths kind of thing once we can build to that momentum, have our big kind of Infinity War moment. But yeah, they're going to pick and choose. Look at the Batman, right? That has so many elements of the Long Halloween and from No Man's Land and other things. So I think you have such a wonderful plethora of IP and story to choose from. Why wouldn't you just kind of go this bit, this bit, this bit, this bit, and then make it your own?
By the way, I've decided I am going to stick with Pickle McSticky Doo is going to be my new name for Batman Beyond. But I just wanted to point out, Logan Vaughn in the live chat said, obviously Paul Walter Hauser should be Terry McGinnis. But honestly, he should now officially be known as Pickle McSticky Doo. That should stick. All right. What's next?
Well, with a name like that, it should. We got Tristan Thorpe with the two-parter. I'm an average Transformers fan, meaning I've only known the live-action movies, but I'm glad Bay isn't directing them anymore because I feel the quality has been a lot better, especially with Bumblebee. Let's see. But after seeing Transformers 1, can't decide which one I love more because the last act of the movie, as John Schnepp would say, had me sweaty. Definitely paid off with the build-up. The only thing I didn't like was the character of B. The jokes with him didn't land for me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it worked for me.
Yeah,
I really loved B in this.
I hear that from a lot of people too. It's you either liked his comedy or not.
Yeah, I did. I particularly liked. There's a post-credit scene with him. No, which I thought was so good.
I do appreciate that how different the characters are from the live action. Like this is a whole new take. I think most part. Well, at least B was.
Yeah, B definitely was because he talked.
Right.
So that was a big step forward. But yeah, that really worked for me. Again, listen, I really love Bumblebee. I couldn't believe, and Bumblebee suffered because of the destruction of the Transformers IP by Michael Bay. Like Michael Bay literally ran that thing into the ground. And so when Bumblebee came out, everybody's like, nah, we're over this stuff, which was really too bad because Bumblebee is brilliant, done by a brilliant director and all that kind of stuff.
Incredible G1 battle.
Especially the opening on Cybertron.
Yep.
Yeah, it was great. And Transformers 1 is kind of suffering the same fate, which is unfortunate because it's so good. But yeah, I think it's the best Transformers movie ever made. I really do. It's the one I've been waiting my whole life for, and I hope it does better. All right, what's next?
We got Anonymous who says, I went to see Megalopolis last night, and for the first time, I had to walk out. I only watched for an hour and couldn't bear to watch another hour and 15. Thank God I have A-list. This feels more like a parody than cinema.
Whoa.
I'm hearing that from a surprising number of people.
I've
heard from a number of people who said they walked out of the movie.
And weren't they supposed to have someone live?
A live actor, yeah.
But are they actually doing that or not? I
haven't heard. Theaters, yes. I don't know if they're doing. I don't see how you can do it in all theaters, but in some theaters, I've heard that they do have like.
All right.
I think it's supposed to be Adam Driver's character, and an actor is dressed up like him in the theater. I haven't been there yet, haven't seen it, but that's what I hear. But I hear a lot of people are walking out of it. All right, what's next?
Yasmar says, don't ban me, John. When the AMC trailers annoy me, I remember that using all my A-list slots makes every movie $2. I went from going 3 to 4 times a year to twice a week. They've earned a lot of leeway with me. Adam Aaron is still a P-boy, though.
Are you a pussy boy?
I don't think you'll be banned for using your A-list. I use my A-list all the time.
Yeah, no, I mean...
Why would he be banned for you?
I don't know.
No. What he's saying is because he's saying he doesn't really mind the Nicole Kidman spot
Oh,
so much
gotcha.
because
Yeah,
when it comes down to it, I'm seeing my movies for $2 a movie.
Right.
But people that don't have A-list aren't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and even still, I do not think that excuses making people who are faithful goers to your theaters literally have to sit through that spot. I mean, without exaggeration, I've had to have seen that spot over 150 times, and I'm really over it. And it's starting to make me not want. I'm starting to get PTSD whenever I see Nicole Kidman at all, which sucks because I love Nicole Kidman.
She should try watching a movie with other people. I mean,
Yeah,
I think
she's always books out the theater. She's
That's
always
what-
alone.
That's the only part that annoys me is like, you want me to feel like I'm with you, but you're not with anyone in there.
Yeah, the message to me is welcome to AMC theaters, where no one else goes because
Where-
it's
yeah.
always an empty theater. she goes
Because that
into.
speech involves a lot of wheeze, but it's only her in
It's
it.
just
That's
her.
what annoys me.
I don't actually sit
Maybe she's
with
got a mouse
the-
in her
We
pocket.
come to this place by ourselves.
I come to AMC so I don't have to sit with the peasants.
Yeah.
I only keep my own private
And
theaters.
she doesn't even sit down. Oh, wait, she does.
You
She
caught
does.
that.
At some point
She does. Okay. That would just been
Standing,
annoying, like
walking
just
around.
standing.
I can't be in a theater with
I
other
can
people. How am I
stand.
going to walk around as the movie's
I
on?
can stand because I can.
She rented that theater, all right?
You can do whatever you
Yeah,
want.
do whatever she
All
whatever
by
she wants.
herself.
Yeah.
All right.
At least Regal, when it was that horrible one where it was all movie quotes, had Danny Trejo, and he was a
Oh,
man of the
yeah.
people, sitting amongst
Yeah.
them.
That is
Yeah.
also very annoying.
Oh, it
that
was
spot.
horrible, but
Oh.
Regal got rid of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good.
good.
I
Thank
hated
you,
it so
Regal.
much.
Take notes.
Thank you, Regal. You didn't spend 27 million on your campaign. That's why.
All right, what's next?
Daniel D says, not only was this past episode of Rings of Power visually stunning, but it was some of the best character drama we've gotten in any Lord of the Rings content. I feel like this show is finally living up to the Jackson movies, and I'm amazed the writers turned it around.
Again, I always come back to this, and I will continue to say it for a while, and we'll see. Hopefully, the finale sticks the ending. You know what? Even if the show's been so good that even if the finale sucks, there was so much good in season two. Season two was great, and maybe the finale didn't stick it, but we'll see how the finale is. But yeah, again, I got to sit down with somebody at some point and really ask them seriously. When you guys went back to the drawing board after season one, what did you drop on the board? Like what were the key avenues for you guys? What did you guys, and I'm dead serious. I think I'm going to try to I'm going to find out who their representation is. I think I'm going to try to get a hold of the showrunner and the writers, because I honestly do want to ask them, what were the things that you guys put up on the board that said, here are the things we got to improve, and how did you do it? Because again, I have never seen a show turn itself around from one season to the next like this one has.
Also, like, I actually thought I would try to finish episode 1 before the show today. And that's how I realized how bulky these episode lengths are.
Yeah,
because I could usually watch an Agatha. Like, if I missed it, I'll come in, I'll watch Agatha, and I'll finish it way before the show starts.
No, every
I'm only
episode is
halfway.
meaty.
I'm only halfway.
Yep. And not
It's
only
so
is it
good.
longer, it's meatier. Like every minute is like meaty. It's just, I can't believe how much they turned it around. All right, what's next?
We got Year of Aquarius. If you're a fan of TV shows such as Sopranos and Sons of Anarchy, then I recommend Kin on Netflix, which is set in Dublin starring Charlie Cox. I'm just waiting for the next season to be made, but I believe he is busy elsewhere being Daredevil. I first saw Charlie Cox in Boardwalk Empire. That's why I first...
Yeah. Yep. That's right.
That's
And
just the first thing I saw him in.
that's
Then
I like-
later on, because I didn't know it was him, it was one of those things. And then when I rewatched it, I'm like, hey, Charlie Cox is in
Guy.
this.
Well, not my first thing in Charlie Cox was Stardust, which I still think is the most underappreciated film of all
So
time.
good.
But you know what? Side note, Boardwalk Empire, that's a show that was almost kind of opposite to Rings of Power, that I loved it for the first number of seasons, and then it fell off pretty quick
Yeah.
for me.
The
at
last
some
season
point.
was just like, oh, okay, this is kind of just
Yeah.
tragic all around.
Overall, I still recommend, if you've never seen Boardwalk
100%.
Empire, I definitely recommend it, especially the first few seasons.
I want to give
are
it a
amazing.
rewatch, honestly. But
Yeah.
yeah, I agree with you how it went.
All right, what's next?
Doogie Howser, MD. Oh, right. Now the song's stuck in my head. Hey, John and crew, which film gave you the best twist ending? Fight Club, Sixth Sense, or Gone Girl? For me, it was Gone Girl, not to mention Neil Patrick Harris had a great performance. Is this Neil? Have a great weekend.
Neil.
Ooh.
I
First,
really didn't. Go ahead.
Gone Girl is great. I love the movie. Usual Suspects, for me, because that, like, a good twist ending. Like I said before, every movie has a twist, but a twist ending, like something, A true twist ending to me is something that fundamentally changes your perception of everything you just watched. Like every movie has a twist of some kind, but a true great twist ending, like Sixth Sense, the ending of Sixth Sense, because that fundamentally changes. Now you look back at the movie and you're like, that changes everything about what I just watched. And Usual Suspects to me is that one for me. Do you have one off the top of your head?
Usual Suspects. Honestly, Saw, the first Saw,
Oh, right.
messed
yeah.
me up so much. Oh my gosh, you guys know my lore on that. Yeah, the Gone Girl. I read the book, and I remember when I got to the twist in the book, I threw it and was like, "What?" So the movie, I was just like, "Oh, this is great."
When he goes, I don't know. Can we talk about how it ends? It's old.
But
In
which
Gone
end?
Girl?
Gone Girls. Gone
Oh,
Girls.
yeah.
When he goes back with her, I'm just like, F this, dude. I was so annoyed.
What about
That's
Nightcrawler?
fair.
I was like, you know what? That's Ben Affleck in real
But
life.
Nightcrawler wasn't a twist
going
ending.
Oh
back.
yeah.
Yeah.
They
It was a
deserve each
great
other.
movie.
The thing with Sixth Sense is I caught it like when he goes to go in the basement and the table's blocking it and he can't get in. I'm like, he's dead.
Yeah.
You know, somebody brought up in the live chat The Prestige.
Oh.
But see, that's the thing. Prestige is an end that has a twist, but it's not a twist ending because The Prestige, you get to the ending of that. By the way, I hated the ending of The Prestige. I love that movie, but the ending is terrible. But that ending doesn't change the way you view the entire movie. It changes the way you saw a portion of the movie, but not like the whole thing. So I don't know that I would put it on there. Yeah, I love that movie, but I hate the ending. Anyway, what's next?
Matan says, to clarify my question from yesterday, Matt Reeves said he changed it to Oscob to be more serious. It touched the nerve many had with the live action Batman always being serious. Keep being haunted by bat nipples. If you guys want Joel Schumacher Batman, you can have it, but not for me.
Yeah, again, I'm perfectly good that they shortened up the Penguin's legal name. I'm totally good with that. It does not change anything about the show whatsoever. So I'm perfectly good with
It'd be
it.
hard to be an Italian mafia with the name Cobblepot. So, Bry Guy. Oh, here we go. I don't know if Paddington and Peru would use this as a main plot line, but it would actually be interesting to see the whereabouts of Paddington's long-lost parents be addressed, maybe through his and the Browns' search for Aunt Lucy. What are your thoughts? This was an actual nice question, Bry. I was expecting
Yeah.
a silly question.
Okay. It's been a while since I've seen the first Paddington. I didn't think his parents were lost. I thought his parents died. Am I not remembering that right? And thus he grows up with his Aunt Lucy and
Yeah.
Uncle. What was his? It was like an Italian name. What was his uncle's name again?
Uncle-
Didn't
Uncle
they?
Fabrizio, or
Did his parents
I thought his parents
die?
It's been a while since I've seen the
Been a
first
while.
one. But why now it's killing me. What's the name of his uncle? Uncle Patrizio, or it's something like that. Nobody in the live chat seems to have it either. But
Pastuzo.
Yeah.
Pastuzo.
Pastuzo, was that it? I knew it ended with.
Pastuzo.
I knew it ended with an O.
Uncle
His parents
Rico.
died in an earthquake?
His parents died in an earthquake when he was very
Yeah,
young.
so he grew up.
Tragic.
We grew up with his uncle and
Whoa.
aunt. Yeah.
Oh, now he's just that's sad. Oh God.
Way to go, Bry Guy. Why don't you have some sensitivity?
That's what his angle was. Maybe he asked that. A nice
So
question.
I
now-
want zombie
So now
bears.
we are crying.
Zombie bears. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, sad to hear we have lost Maggie Smith.
Yeah.
Great actress winning an Oscar for the prime of Miss Jean Brody.
Woot woot.
Loved her in Gosford Park and Room with a View.
Yeah. I mean, again, she's one of those actresses who had ridiculous success in multiple eras. And again, like you can talk about a guy like Michael Douglas, right? Like Michael Douglas has been an enduring figure in Hollywood for decades and decades and decades. But even Michael Douglas, he is still great, but it's not like he's hitting the pinnacle of his career right now. Like Maggie Smith is going to go down as one of those very, very rare things who was successful all through her career, but really got big like when she got into her 70s and 80s. I mean, it's crazy. I'm sure there are other examples, but not many. Not many. She was amazing. All right, what's next?
BMC says, I don't think Deadline would publish that article if Tudyk was reprising his role as Phosphorus. He would be an interesting choice for Brainiac. Not sure what that's in regards
Yeah,
to.
so for those of you who didn't hear, a story came out that Alan Tudyk joined, I think, Superman in a surprise role, in a secret role. Considering the movie's already shot and done, my guess, I didn't listen. I love Alan Tudyk, and you guys know I'm really looking forward to Superman. But the reason I didn't make a story is because it's probably going to be a quick cameo or something like that, and probably even a cameo where we don't even see his face. Might be something else like that. So that's why I'm not giving it much brain power right now. But I do love him, and I can't wait for Superman. So, all right, what's next?
Scooby Drool with a 3-parter. Hello, John and Magnificent Crew. A week ago, I was depressed, but now I'm better thanks to some feel-good movies you suggested. Now I'm ready for New York Comic Con next month since I'm a New Yorker. I remembered back in 2017, I met John Schnepp, and it was a blast meeting him. Too bad he's no longer with us. Rest in peace. My question to you, John, what has been the most expensive thing you bought at any Comic-Con convention? An item you must have. Try to save money, but the stuff at Comic-Cons are tempting me to buy. Hard to resist. How much money should a person spend by buying a Funko Pop? Are those Funko Pops that cost turnaround $300, $500, $800 worth to buy? What items should I avoid? I don't think Pops hold their value anymore.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
They may come back into style, but they've lost their flair.
Yeah, I mean, the pops, the value on some of the pops is like, you get an exclusive, its height of its value will be in the first few weeks after that.
Yeah, exactly.
And then after that, it goes down. So
Look
I
up.
don't
There's
look
some-
at any of these things as investments.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's
Use
some like
our sponsor, Acorns. If
There
you
you
want
go.
to invest and grow your money, start there, not with trying to buy pops.
And I know, John, you've said this is like a weird, like I'm forcing it, but I actually have been a member of Acorns since 2020. I love it.
Yeah,
So,
I've been using them
yeah.
for years. Like, seriously. But okay, now, as far as the most expensive thing I've ever bought at a Comic-Con, I don't think I've ever spent a ton of money at Comic-Con. And I might have, but the sideshow booths,
Parking is my most expensive. thing.
parking,
Hotel.
the hotel
Yeah.
at
Hotel.
Comic-Con is the most
Yeah.
expensive thing I
If
ever
you're
got.
talking about any convention, then I would say
But-
that
No cons.
that picture that you had just bought.
Oh yeah, like that's
That
probably
was a
it.
convention. That was a
Which-
smaller
which-
convention.
Which one was
It was
that?
the very first one. It was in Ontario. But what was it called? Anime. Not anime.
But I
I'll
have
look
this
it up.
Spider-Man portrait
That's
that
massive,
I bought for
though.
like $300.
It's like the
Okay.
Last Supper of the Spider-Verse.
Yes, and I love that thing. I
was
love
such
it
a
so
small
much.
convention that
But
one.
but see, I would spend more, but the sideshow booths, because this has happened to me a couple times. I go to the sideshow booth at Comic-Con, and they had like my Captain America from Infinity War figure, and I'm like, how much? And they're like, oh no, none of this is for sale. This is, oh no, or it was, but it's not being released for another 8 months.
Right.
I hate that because I'm an impulse buyer. It's like, I'm not going to buy something now that I'm not getting for 9 months. Forget that. So I honestly never spend much. I think that
I really don't.
$300 portrait is by far the most expensive thing I've ever bought on a Comic-Con floor.
Believe it or not, the most expensive thing I've bought at a Comic-Con is a comic. Go figure. A comic at
Whoa.
Comic-Con. Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to step out of picture.
All right. But anyway, I mean, the problem is like action figures there are too prohibitive. You already have to be in a running to get a hotel or to get a pass to go. Then you have to get in a running to see if you get the right to stand in line for these
Yeah.
exclusives. And even then, you're not guaranteed that you're going to get the exclusive. So I don't do it.
Yeah.
That's
Now,
awesome, though.
I did not get this. Let's go my one shot. I did not get this at a Comic-Con. I bought this at Frank & Sons.
Yeah. Careful with it, though, because it's like a two-piece, like it.
It's several pieces.
Yeah.
But this is probably the most expensive figure I ever got. And fortunately, when we got there, the vendors are fans of the John Campea Show.
Oh,
So
yay.
I actually got a deal. Still, probably the most expensive single thing I ever bought.
Yeah.
As far as like collectible items and stuff like this is this
Mm-hmm.
Deadpool piece. So, yeah, but again, not at
shot,
Comic-Con.
Charlie.
But Frank & Sons is like Comic-Con every day.
My shot now.
That's what Comic-Con is. I mean, Frank & Sons is the Comic-Con floor every day. It's amazing.
Ray has
And
a
the
show.
last thing I bought
Ray
from
has
a
a show and
convention-
tell.
Convention was the Shadow. It was called Walmart Con. It happens.
Walmart
It happens every day
Walcon.
for the
Well
rest of our
done.
lives.
Walcon.
Walcon.
Opens at 8, closes at 11. Walmart Con.
Or as
Go
I
see.
refer to it as Y'allmart.
Y'allmart.
Walmart.
The Walmartians.
Yeah.
I love them.
All right,
I
what's
might be
next?
at New York Comic Con. Maybe.
Oh, cool.
If I am, I will let you all
For
know.
True Noir or what?
Yeah, for True Noir.
Awesome. Duck Duck says, excuse me, Buenos tardes. Could it be the word of mouth on Transformers that it isn't that good? Maybe it's it's okay, I guess, which doesn't pull people. I had 2 families and a solo guy leave my screening, and unfortunately my friends, and I thought it was terrible. Okay.
Wow.
Whoa.
Maybe my screening was one of the odd ones, but there was little to no laughter or reactions, not even the kids. Super weird experience, to be honest. I've never had such a quiet theater unless I'm there alone.
Well, listen, every single individual theater has its own unique dynamic, right? Like I was in a Lord of the Rings theater where nobody said a peep during Return of the King. I'm like, what? Now, I've been in 2 screenings of Transformers 1. The audience was very vocal in both of them. A lot of laughing. And here's the thing. The audience rating is like in its 90s. The cinema, what's the score again? The
Cinema score?
Is that what it's called? Cinema score? Yeah. Anyway, the cinema score where they actually track people coming out of theaters
right.
as an A. The track score on it is super high. So it's not okay word of mouth. That doesn't mean you had to enjoy it. That's fine. All film's subjective.
Ultimately,
it doesn't even mean a theater you were in had to enjoy it. But by and large and by far, the audience response to this movie has been through the roof by every metric imaginable. So word of mouth is very strong and very, very positive. So, yeah, but that doesn't mean it's going to be for everybody, and that's totally fine.
I will admit the first couple parts of the movie is a little slow to try to get into, to try to understand with the setting and stuff. Maybe people found that boring. But also, if there's a generation that didn't watch the cartoons like us or had toys, right? So they grew up with this Michael Bay stuff. So maybe they go into the movie with a bias of what they think the Transformers should be like. And when they see this, because it's completely different from the live action.
But again, it's
a different take.
It's a very, very small minority who don't like the film. Like
it almost
by
reminds me of
every
Garfield.
metric, by everything out there, the vast majority of people who've seen it have really. But again, no movie is for everybody. It doesn't matter. There are people who literally write into our show that think The Godfather's overrated. That's fine. That's the subjectivity of film. All right, what's next?
Matan says A24 is dropping the ball on the distribution of Luca Guadagnino's Queer and their films in general recently. They have become too limited in the last year, and the international release has become botched. Doesn't A24 want to save the cinema?
You don't know the first thing about film distribution in the business and how it works and what works and what does not. A24 is a very profitable business. They have not dropped the ball at all. They know how to reach their audience. They know how much of an audience they have, and they know how to connect with the demographics that are interested in their films. You can't just take any movie that's out there, because A24 films are not for everybody. I don't think A24 has ever made a film that's for everybody. And you can put it in every theater in the world. That doesn't mean so. No. Don't presume to know more than A24 does about their distribution and how their stuff works. All right, what's next?
Okay, we got Mega Red who says, "Hey crew, it's my 27th birthday tomorrow.
Woo-woo.
Last week I wrote in about improv. Thanks for the words of encouragement. Is there a movie project that gestated in development for years that you thought, damn, this is never happening, only for it to actually come to fruition? To be honest, I thought Venom would never happen. Talked about since after Spider-Man 3 with Tobey, then with Garfield. I thought it would be stuck in development forever. Thanks, and PS for any advice for 27.
Stay
Blade.
away from ham sandwiches.
Venom is a movie, though, that was not in development a long time. That iteration of Venom came together fairly quickly. Like, they had talked about, other people had talked about doing a Venom movie, but you're talking about movies that literally the people involved got involved initially, tried to get this thing up and running, tried to get it going, and it took years and years and years and years. You'd be surprised how many movies that we see in theaters are exactly that. Like, there are a lot of movies that come out in theaters have been like, we've been working on this since 2003. We've been trying to get this together since like 2003, and it comes out. A lot of movies are actually like that. But yeah, Jonathan just kind of brought one up, Blade. This specific iteration with this specific actor, they've been trying to get this thing going now for over 5 years. We still don't have a script.
I felt that way about Flash. I firmly believed it was not going to ever happen.
Literally, they announced the Flash movie the day after the Flash TV series premiered, and the movie didn't come out until after Flash finished its 7th season. I mean, that's not as unusual in Hollywood. I'm not saying it's the norm, but that's not as unusual as you might think. All right, what's next? Catlock.
Catlock, grumpy cat with Matlock hair. I don't see how they'll explain how no one knows who Maddie Matlock really is, being that she is a rich lawyer and they are a law firm. Old women don't always go unnoticed. Everyone knew who Aunt B was.
Listen, I can tell you that's not true at all. I worked in law firms, and just because somebody was a big, powerful lawyer, there's a lot of lawyers that you've never met, never heard of, even if you are in law circles. Now, yeah, if you're one of the country's most famous,
Yeah.
sure, but I don't think Maddie Matlock was ever that.
No.
And she probably hadn't been practicing law. I mean, probably hadn't been practicing law since a lot of those people were children. So it's really not that far of a stretch.
They could
Yeah.
just
At
probably
all.
think maybe she hit hard times and had bad investments and lost her money.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. My dad was the general counselor for major corporations and a contributor to Forbes magazine. People do not know him on site.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, her real name isn't Maddie Matlock.
Yeah.
Remember at the end of that episode, they make it clear they literally created a new identity for her.
Right.
Yeah, see.
So, I mean, there's all that as well. All right. What's next?
Anonymous said, oh no, we read that was a two-parter. Harrison Board.
Board.
Hey, Campea crew. What are some underrated movies from recent years you recommend? Some of my picks are Bad Education, Mississippi Grind, American Animals, Lost City of Z, and most recently Dee Dee. I like Dee Dee, but it was a little sad.
Yeah.
It's
a good coming of age
recently.
story, though.
Yeah.
Underrated is, I think you're talking about more underappreciated than underrated.
Right.
What would I call some underrated movies recently? I don't know. I don't walk around with a list off the top of my head, to be honest with you. So I would, that's something I'd have to sit down and think about for a few minutes. So I unfortunately can't answer that question.
Like literally anything Shane Black has done. Almost every Shane Black movie
Well,
in recent years.
Except for Predator.
Well, yeah. That's fair.
But yes, almost everything else Shane Black has touched
Yeah.
has been grossly underrated and underappreciated, actually.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Harv's K and King Dice did a good one. Abigail. Although, again, I would rank Abigail under the more underappreciated than underrated, because I
Yeah.
find most people who have seen Abigail really, really liked it. It's just that nobody saw it, unfortunately. Guys, watch Abigail. It's so fun. It's such a fun movie. All right, what's next?
Chris Hunt says a 2013 Cracked article, movies inexplicably getting sequels decades later, mentions Beverly Hills Cop, Beetlejuice, Blade Runner, Top Gun. Only one yet to happen is Twins 2, triplets. With Eddie Murphy working title, these three MFers can't possibly be related.
I have no idea what we're talking
They're
about.
making a Twins 3?
Oh, no, they're saying this was an article from
Yeah.
back in
Oh.
2013.
Yeah, the only one yet to happen is Twins.
It was going to be called Triplets?
Well, it says with Eddie Murphy working title, these three MFers can't possibly be related.
I don't.
Oh, yeah, with Tracy Morgan and Eddie
Oh,
Murphy.
But
this
it's
is.
Cracked,
you know
so
what?
it's
We
a-
did do
yeah.
a story about this ages ago. I
did.
think this is like an AMC days
Yeah, I
kind of
remember
thing.
putting together the poster, or like a mock-up poster, or whatever.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's totally fallen out. I didn't even have any recollection of that. You know, the new Beverly Hills Cop was pretty good. I wonder, it's the only sad thing though is that his Coming to America sequel sucked balls so badly. It was such a bad movie, but that they didn't give me a lot of hope for the new Beverly Hills Cop, but I actually ended up really liking it a lot. All right, what's next?
AL says, which of these comic book movies had the best cliffhanger ending? The Dark Knight, Avengers Infinity War, or Across the Spider-Verse? Man, I really like Across. I mean,
Two of those did not have cliffhanger.
Yeah,
endings.
that was a finality. I mean, and then they just reacted to the finality.
Yeah. I've had this discussion with people before. Infinity War did not have a cliffhanger ending. It had an ending. The bad guy won. That was the ending of Infinity War. The only cliffhanger ending is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. That literally has a cliffhanger. It's like, oh my God, and then it ends, right? And but the other two don't have cliffhanger endings.
Did you guys experience this with Across, where the people you went and saw the movie with went, "What? It ends here?"
Oh, I did that.
Oh,
Okay.
Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring.
Oh, yeah, me too. I did that there, too.
That was the biggest one for me. What was the one you're talking
Across the
about?
Spider-Verse.
Yeah,
I
the
was
last
there
part.
with
Oh,
Logan and
yeah.
a bunch of my friends, and they were like, "Are you kidding me? This is where it ends." And I was like, "It's
It's a three-parter.
the second of three movies. What do you all want?" And they're like, "This is bullshit."
We want justice.
I knew that. I still reacted that way.
But for me, the biggest one was
Where they're looking at Mordor over the
Sam and Frodo get to the thing. It's like, okay, there's Mordor.
That one pissed
Do
me
do
off.
do do do.
I
do,
think in
do,
about a
do,
month
the
I'm
credits
about-
roll, and people are like, what?
I think in about a month or two, maybe November or early November, I'm going to start my annual rewatch of the Lord of the Rings.
Oh,
I like to wait till it's cloudy and cold
that makes
because
sense.
it feels like it's that world.
That's when I usually do it with Hobbit Feast ish. We did another one this year because of birthdays, but I throw those on in the
I
background.
prefer Harry Potter on rainy days too.
Yeah, that makes
So.
sense.
All right, what's next?
Garden Variety says, my favorite spinoff over Frasier is NCIS. It then had many spinoffs of its own. I didn't know Jag was a spinoff. Jag ran for 10 years starting in 95. My mom loves Jag and still has characters appear on NCIS. Now Jag is coming back. I would love it if they respun it back off of NCIS, ATV's Ouroboros.
There is a whole, I have no idea which ones are connected to which, but there's this whole incestuous little, like all these procedurals, like whether you're talking, it all spun off of CSI, right? CSI started that whole thing. Well, you might even go back further than that. That wasn't fair. Law and Order started from that. Then you had Law and Order Philadelphia and Law and Order The Kitchen Closet and Law and Order Special Victims Unit and Law and Order this.
Matlock.
And then you had CSI. Then you had CSI Miami. Wow. And then you had CSI
Lost and Found.
CSI Lost and Found and CSI this. Then you had we already said special. Then you had NCIS. Then you had NCIS LA and NCIS this.
NCIS Invitational.
The NCIS
tournament.
Invitational. It's this whole, I can't distinguish any of them from the other. I really can't anymore. Like they're all kind of the same thing,
Put them all
but
together, baby.
yep. All right, what's next?
be
But
the
they've been
alphabet.
crazy successful, like stupid successful, and continue to be. All right, what's next?
The Dumbo All Fears says, season 2 of Rings of Power has been a huge step up from season 1, but I'm more excited about the latest episode
Mixed.
compared to... What's that?
But I'm more mixed.
Oh, mixed. I don't know why I say excited. About the latest episode compared to everyone else. For me, there was a lot of that reminded me of Game of Thrones in the bad way. I love both, but I don't want my Tolkien like Game of Thrones.
I would say this to any fan about any property. You need to get over, I don't want my Tolkien or I don't want my... You got to just take the product that gets made on its own face value. Like, don't worry about whether it does this with Tolkien or that with Tolkien. Like, if I walked into, again, I'll just use, I often use this one, X-Men Days of Future Past. If I walked into X-Men Days of Future Past just expecting it and having a pre-existing standard that I wanted to be just like the comic book, then I would have hated that movie because it's nothing like the comic book. I mean, there's some thematic similarities, but it's a totally unique thing. But I didn't. I went in and took it on its own worth, and it's one of I think, a top 10 greatest comic book movie of all time. So you need to move beyond, I want this show to be this, and just take what it presents and then evaluate, was what they presented great? And I was very disappointed with season 1, not because it didn't thoroughly stick to Tolkien lore, but just because I didn't think it was a very good show. This season is a very good show. And that's just the exclusive thing that I evaluated on. But that's just me. All right, what's next?
Raymond Veronis is hoping everyone stays safe in Florida
Yeah.
and Georgia from Hurricane Helene. Is it Helen or Helene? I read in Newsweek that alligators have now made their way through the neighborhoods of Sarasota.
Oh, no.
Something out of a movie. Take care. It makes sense.
Yeah.
For as somebody who does not live in Florida, have we not heard those stories like all the time with or without hurricanes? Like,
Sure.
I feel like every
But
time
a
I
lot
hear
of them
about
are
Florida,
moving to get
alligator
yeah.
found in the backyard. But I guess now
Yeah.
with the waters
That's
being
just
knee
a
deep,
Tuesday.
that's more dangerous
Yeah,
now.
there's just going to be more prevalent ones, especially
Yeah.
because
Oh my-
there's always a Florida man or woman who decides, I can hoof it.
Guys, I just
I can
realized
go."
they're in danger of a gator NATO.
Gator NATO.
Oh boy.
You know the parts that always kills me when in these
boy.
hurricane news videos? When you clearly see cars driving to a part of the road that is clearly about 4 feet underwater. And they just decide, I can make it. You do realize that most of you are driving cars with things they're called ICE engines, internal combustion engines. Combustion. You can't drive your car into 4 feet of water.
I mean, have you ever had winter schnitzel? Come on, it's worth it.
You got to get there. You got to get there.
All right.
I mean, I'm willing to risk it.
Gator native.
All right, what's next?
The cinematographer in the latest Rings episode cooked.
Oh, it's beautiful.
did.
Because even just from a cinematography and shot selection point of view, it did feel very Jackson-esque. It felt very much like the Jackson movies in many ways on that side. So I agree. All right, what's next?
Ian McAllister says, I think Adar is still loyal to Morgoth's ideals, just not Sauron. I agree. Also, I feel like I am the only one loving the Stranger Tom storyline.
I am too.
I like how they get together. I'm just like,
You just don't like those Harfoots?
this is giving me some like PTSD from what oh God, I'll think of it. I'll get back to you. Also feels like I'm the only one loving the Stranger Tom storyline. Anyways, floored with how this show is. I can't wait for the finale. Do you think it will end with the forging of the one? I don't know if this season, but
No,
maybe. I think
don't.
it's probably next season.
I think my guess, and it's just a pure guess, is that it ends with him getting the 9 back from Galadriel. Because we know eventually he has to get his hands on them. Like we know that. So I think he'll get his back, because in the preview for the next episode, we see him and Galadriel in a sword fight. And so I think ultimately he's going to get the 9, and I think it ends there. So I think the forging of the 1 will probably come in season 3. That's just a guess, though.
Yeah. Well, if we are going to pull some things from canonic lore, Sauron is going to forge the ring in
Mount Doom, which he's not there yet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
All right. Anonymous says, I don't get why so many people want Doctor Doom to show up in Fantastic Four. It feels like a lose-lose situation. If Doom wins, then you undercut the F4. If the F4 win, then Doom is less credible threat. I mean, yeah, it's sort of like Kang, right? If you keep defeating him, even a post-credit cameo would feel meaningless.
No, a post-credit cameo wouldn't feel meaningless at all, any more than at the end of the first Avengers having a Thanos cameo. It set the stage. And so, and I'm not saying they should do a Doctor Doom cameo at the end credits, nor am I saying they will, but I'm saying if they did, it could be very beneficial in setting the stage, much like they did in the end of the first Avengers. I mean, it's clear why people want Doctor Doom in Fantastic Four, because Fantastic Four is coming soon, and people love Doctor Doom. And now that they know Robert Downey Jr. is playing, they want to see him, but also because Doctor Doom is most associated normally, at least with comic book fans, with the Fantastic Four. Of course, as a villain, his scope goes, and he casts a much larger shadow than just Fantastic Four, for sure. But he is most associated with as a Fantastic Four villain. So that's why a lot of people are saying that. Everybody knows even if he pops up in the movie, he's not going to be the movie. He's not the bad guy of the movie. Everybody knows that. So yeah, you could have him pop up as a cameo in the sense of just something to lay some groundwork and set the stage. They don't need to. They definitely don't need to, but it could be useful in that if they decided to do it. All right, what's next?
And it was Carnival that gave me PTSD of like, is he ever going to become what he's supposed to become? So yeah.
Okay.
Is that the Orlando Bloom thing?
No, Carnival.
That's Carnival Row.
That's Carnival Row.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, we got David who says, do you have any desire to play the new Star Wars Outlaw game?
Yes.
I heard it got an update that has vastly improved it.
Yes.
It's getting a lot of hate, and I honestly don't get it. It's really fun. I've heard it's glitchy and the graphics aren't as good, but it's supposed to be getting fixed. I mean, it's not the best game I've ever played or anything, but it's an open world Star Wars game, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
Yeah, I definitely want to try it.
I want to too. This is why, though, I wait to get some of these games, because they do tend to start out glitchy and need some patches and things, and then I get it.
Like how much mud did Cyberpunk live under when it first? Because remember all the
Now
problems.
people love it, but
Yeah.
it took a while.
Yeah, I mean, from what I understand, it became eventually after Series Patch 75 that it became a very good game. But I remember watching some videos on YouTube of like, oh my, how did they release this?
That's
Like, it
when
was
a
so
company,
glitchy.
is afraid to push their deadline. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
Because they knew it released early. Yeah.
That's what happens.
Yeah, people, Patrick in live chat saying I never went back to Cyberpunk.
Dang.
I get if you have a really bad experience with it, yeah, I can see why you wouldn't. You only have one chance to make a first impression.
Yeah.
Yep. I've heard that before.
All right, is that it?
We got a couple more.
Okay, let's get through.
Okay, Mr. I with a two-parter. Hello, everyone. You may or may not remember I wrote in a few months ago from the hospital. Yep.
All right.
The bad bacterial infection. It ended up getting a bone and toe amputated.
Oh no!
Whoa.
Today I can say I'm healed up and out of the walking boot. Congratulations.
That's great.
And goes on to say, thank you all for the great programming you put on. Help me keep my spirits up. Hope you all have a great weekend.
Oh man, that's look, dude.
So glad
That's
you're getting
rough.
your-
that sucks, man. I'm glad you're healing up. I'm glad.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So sorry to hear about that. I mean, I remember you mentioning having to do a hospital stay, which always sucks. But I mean, yeah, sorry to hear about that. But glad you're healing up, and we're glad that the show can be here for you, man. Thanks for sharing.
All right, we got 6 more here. So
Let's get
all right,
through.
here's the Bry guy I know so well. A Broadway stage adaptation of Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons' DC comic books miniseries Watchmen, with original songs and music by Stephen Schwartz of Wicked, additional lyrics written and performed by Bono. Yes, the lead singer of U2. Thank you for letting us know that part.
All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, in the golden days of TV, think Star Trek, Next Generation. Olden days, okay. Yeah, you could have olden days. Thanks, Anonymous. And you could have a bad season, but if TV bosses thought there was something in the show to carry on, then they would often give the program another chance. You'd be surprised. A lot of stuff got canceled.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like I remember that era of television. A lot of stuff came and went very fast. Here's the trick. Yeah, a show that's already established
Right.
can have a not so great season. Like, listen, there's a lot of people who are not very thrilled with The Bear season 3. The key thing though is that it's already established and it's already got a fan base. And when you do that, you can hit a couple of bumps. Remember we talked about the other day, the whole analogy of coins in your pocket, right? You've built up goodwill, so you can hit that. The problem is you start off a show weak. It's, again, you get a one chance to make a good first impression. If you've already got an established fan base and established a reputation of quality, then yeah, you can have a bad season or two and you'll be okay. But you got to come out strong. You got to come out of the gate. And now, fortunately for Rings of Power, Amazon put so much money into that. They
Yeah.
couldn't not do a second
There's
season.
no going back.
They're like, y'all.
Yeah, I mean, they spent like $500 million just to get the rights to do it. So they had to do a second season. It wasn't them going, you know what? We still believe in the creative here. We think it wasn't that. Maybe I like to think it could have been a little bit of that, but it was just that, guys, we got him. It's like an NFL team that signs a ridiculously overpriced quarterback, and even though they know they should go to the backup, they're like, we're spending $35 million a year on this guy. Start him. That's kind of what it was for Rings of Power season 2, and I'm glad they did. All right, what's next?
Okay, Bry guy has a question for Chris. Hey, Chris, do you think after Has-Been Hotel is successful, Vivzy Pop would ever work on her own animated feature films? Maybe even either at Sony, DreamWorks, or Illumination?
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
I've never even heard of the thing you're talking about,
Has-Been Hotel. It's great. It's a musical animated series on Amazon about hell.
and it's getting a feature film.
No, Bry Guy keeps writing in hypotheticals about the creator and the show.
Oh, okay.
It's a great show. I think everyone should watch it, especially if you are a musical theater person, because they have a stacked cast and the music goes so hard. They didn't need to. It's great. It's so good.
All right, what's next?
Johnny says, I'll be honest about old Sonic design. I didn't find it that bad other than the face, but ever since they changed it, I can't help to think if they kept the old one, how would it turn out? Would people still think like the movie or got a trilogy? Or would they still like the movie or would have gotten a trilogy? I'm still in conflict.
Yeah, it really wouldn't have turned out much different. I mean, that's the reality, because they changed a bit of the design of the character, but they literally didn't change anything about the movie. The movie
Right.
was, it's still, the line still would have been funny. The heartwarming moments still would have been heartwarming, all that kind of stuff.
You should-
Did
I
the
don't
design
know.
change help? Yeah,
He just had teeth of doom.
Yeah.
but it really wouldn't
He had
have made
smaller eyes, little
that,
beady eyes.
it really, at the end of the day, it wouldn't have made that big of a difference, because the movie was still the movie.
I don't know, that character staring up at you. If you need a reminder, just go watch Chip and Dale on Disney Plus, because he's in there and he ugly as hell.
All right, what's next?
Logan Vaughn says, let me scooch this.
Make sure you put the stank on the name.
When Sauron is
you.
wearing his battle armor in the opening credit battle scene of Fellowship, is that Halbrand Anatar underneath? Well, it's Sauron. Or had Sauron transitioned into another form at that point?
talking
He
about?
looks 20 feet tall in that armor.
We don't have the answer to that yet. We will find out. Yes, it's still him. I mean, he is Sauron, and he's taken different forms and all that. I mean, just the first episode of season 2 shows us he can even be the frickin' black goo. I mean, so yes, it's him taking on a different form. How he gets there, what brings that about, why is it that form, and these are all answers we'll have to get in the series as we move forward. All right, what's next?
Joe Adonis says, hi, John Jonathan, Chris, and Ray. Conclave is going to be a tour de force of acting from Fiennes, Tucci, and Lithgow.
No doubt.
Just finished the book this weekend. Filipino Cardinal represented Ray.
Yeah.
Unless they changed it, I can't wait for the movie.
I still remember when they showed us the preview for this at CinemaCon, we're like, I don't know if anybody's going to go see this, but damn, it looks good. And now we're hearing out of the festival circuit that this thing is going to be a Best Picture contender. This could be the year Ray Fiennes has to give up his Best Actor on the Planet without an Oscar title because he just might win it this year. Tucci is being raved about. Lithgow is being raved about. I mean,
The Tooch.
woo, I cannot wait to watch this movie, man. I am so stoked for it. I'm very, very excited. All right.
That's it for, what do you call them?
All right, guys. And that'll do it. Whatchamacallum. That'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported our channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so much for your support. I want to thank the people in the room with me, Ray
Have
Ora,
a good weekend.
Jonathan Voico,
See ya.
Chris Carr.
Stay safe.
My name's John Campea. Have a great weekend, everybody. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.